Just dropped Jasper at school. It is a beautiful but rather chilly and windy morning. I know. I'm gonna go for a little cycle. I need to go into the local town anyway. Where are all the coffee pods? See? I'm gonna have to do something about that before Soph gets back. It's about a 15-mile round trip, which would be, oh, I don't know, in my car it'd be about 5 kilowatt hours probably, which is a reasonable amount of power. If I take the bike, it'll be about 250 watt hours. So despite the chilliness, that's what I'm gonna do. Good old solar power. I can't tell you how chilly this is though. It's one advantage that cars definitely have over bikes when it comes to somewhere like the UK. Environmental controls. So what is it that's been stopping me from vlogging? Because I really have struggled to get back into it. In a word, Brexit. Right, it's my... Yes, battery's charged. Brexit has had an unbelievably corrosive effect on my life. I don't really understand why, and I just want to quickly add in at this point that I am not turning this channel into some kind of great big political channel. I'm really not. However, in 2016, I made a mistake with my YouTube career, hobby, whatever you want to call it. The number one rule when it comes to YouTube, at least for me at any rate, is I have to talk about something that I'm interested in. I have to talk about what's on my mind. I have to communicate. And that's kind of what it's all about, I suppose. And I didn't do that. I had things that I wanted to say about the direction this country was going, and rather than say them into camera, I said them to Soph, my mum, you know, people, friends and family. That was great fun for them, obviously. Anyway, I am going to get this off my chest, say my piece, and then move forwards, because there's a lot of interesting things around technology and EVs, and I want to talk about it all because it's really the sort of future of where people are going that really gets me excited and interesting. And that's basically why I love EVs, because I see a huge amount of potential in that technology and I want to see it come to fruition. Or if it's not that, if something else comes along, and that's the way everything's going in terms of energy use, I want to see that, and I want to share my joy and experience of it with you fine folk. So that's what I want to do. Back to Brexit quickly. Yay! The problem I have always had with Brexit is there's basically two visions for Europe. There's the vision of Europe as a whole bunch of individual countries all competing against each other continuously. The kind of fractious relationship that we're now starting to see develop between Britain and the EU now that we've left. I've never subscribed to that. I don't think that that is a great vision for the future. It sounds an awful lot like what we've done for the last thousands of years. I think there is some big question marks around it. The competing vision is a Europe where everyone works together. We have unified standards and procedures and recognition of people's qualifications, and you know, we can all sort of move around and make the lives that we want to make in a Europe where there isn't a huge amount of poverty, hopefully. It's, you know, generally speaking, the standard of living will be higher. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that Britain on its own couldn't be even more successful than if it was joined with the other nations of Europe. However, I don't think that just making the most money ever is the measure by which people should judge whether their lives have been successful or not. It's just what I reckon. So I've always believed that when it comes to Europe, it's the things that make us different that also make us strong. And I think it's a very hopeful vision for the future of humanity, that such a large group of, you know, different cultures and societies with different languages and histories and traditions can all work together constructively for the betterment of the whole planet. That's what I believe. Do I think Europe's perfect? Do I think the EU is a perfect institution? Of course not. But it's what we've got and we can work on it. And that's why it's upset me. I now have to watch them build the future, and I've got all my fingers and toes crossed that they will do a good job at making my utopian vision a reality. Okay, nobody gets there ever, but if you work in the direction, then you get closer. If you don't, then it's the making no progress that I fear is where Britain is headed. But there's nothing I can do about that. So I now have to go into town and pick up these decaf pods. Actually, I think we're probably going to have to ditch that coffee machine at some point, go for a podless one, because it can't be great for the environment. Slowly but surely, I'm going to try and make the changes to my life that are necessary in order to be a bit more sustainable. I have been, what's the word? Inspired. I've been inspired by the last year or two's sort of shift in public opinion on climate change. I'm starting to think that maybe if we all just try a little bit harder, we can start to move the dial in a noticeable amount. Well, we'll see how that goes. Speaking of which, moving the dial a noticeable amount, I've got 250 watt hours to stick through that bike instead of 5 kilowatt hours in the car. So I better get shifting. Hello. Righty. This is a really tricky place to shoot any kind of video because of the noise from the road, but I've got my trusty mic and I've actually remembered to use it for once. So we'll see how that goes. Yeah. Tell you what, it does feel great to kind of get it off my chest a bit with the whole Brexit thing, because it has really been quite toxic for my motivation. It has not been a good thing. It's not the only reason I've been on a go slow for the last 3 years, but this is something I can actually do something about because I can get it off my chest, and I've done that now. Unfortunately, we're probably going to circle back round to government regulation again in the near future, because the regulatory side of things is actually quite a big part of what's going to be happening in the future with this shift to EVs and stuff. And I mean, even promoting bicycles, a lot of it does take a bit of government action. Aha, here comes lunch. Thank you very much.
I didn't know if you wanted cutlery, so I'll
Nah, be alright,
anyway.
thanks. Cheers. Just what the doctor ordered. Okay, and I think on this little sound test note, it's time for me to eat my lunch. I hope you've enjoyed today's vlog post. If you have, remember to like it, share it, subscribe if you haven't already, follow me on Instagram and Twitter if you don't already, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye. And then head off home, go for a run, pick up Jasper, do a load of editing, but the plan is that I'm going to be able to do this a lot more regularly, so check out your subscriptions inbox and hopefully you'll see quite a bit more content from me over the coming weeks and months. I've said that before, haven't I?